intelligence source. It's midweek macro day, Wednesday, September 17th.
Right.
And we're digging into the brief from yesterday, Tuesday the 16th. We're here to give you the signal, definitely not the noise.
Yeah, and yesterday's brief, well, it was pretty packed. We saw escalating global conflicts, some big shifts in finance, and these ongoing humanitarian and governance issues.
It feels like global risk is ticking up, doesn't it?
It really does. The overall picture points that way, demanding some careful attention, I think.
Okay, so we've got a stack of sources fresh from the intelligence brief. We're going to unpack the key stuff, get you informed, quickly but thoroughly.
Exactly.
We're really zeroing in on three big stories today. First, that intensifying Gaza conflict. Then, global markets kind of holding their breath before these expected Fed cuts.
Right.
And a really nasty cyber attack hitting Jaguar Land Rover. Plus, we'll do some quick hits on other global briefs just to round things out.
Sounds good.
Now, before we jump in, just a quick word. This deep dive is powered by NextSight. They're leaders in global investigations and intelligence. Their OSINT platform, Site Connect, it's what fuels these reports, and you can actually tailor it to what you need. Cross-border investigations, corporate intel, they operate on another level. Fast, precise, fully corroborated.
They really do.
You can learn more at www.next-site.com.
Definitely worth checking out.
Okay, let's dive into that first big story. The escalating conflict in Gaza. Things really ramped up yesterday.
They did. Israel launched a large-scale ground assault on Gaza City. We're talking significant air and naval bombardments alongside it.
And civilians urged to evacuate, right?
That's the report, yes. Urged to leave the area. But this is happening alongside some extremely serious allegations.
Yeah, tell us about that, the UN warnings.
Right. UN experts issued a really dire warning, actually accusing Israel of committing genocide. There was an ABC investigation citing a UN Commission of Inquiry, which basically concluded Israel intends to destroy the Palestinian population. How? By deliberately blocking essentials: food, water, medicine. They found it fulfilled 4 out of the 5 genocidal acts under the 1948 Convention.
Wow. That's heavy. And the human cost.
Immense already. We're seeing reports of over 220,000 Palestinians displaced just from northern Gaza.
How's the world reacting? I saw some hashtags trending.
Yeah, the reaction is stark. Hashtag Israel Terrorist State was trending in the U.S. It shows this widespread outrage, lots of discussion about war crimes online. And Navi Pillay, the UN Commission chair, she had this quote: "Today we witness in real time how the promise of never again is broken." Pretty powerful.
And Israel's response?
A flat rejection.
Yeah.
They called the UN report distorted, and they're actually calling for the whole commission to be abolished. So you have this intense battle on the ground and this deeply contested narrative internationally.
Right. It's playing out on multiple fronts.
Absolutely. And what's really telling, I think, is the diplomacy happening behind the scenes. Despite all this heat. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Qatar's emir in Doha.
Oh, interesting. What came out of that?
Well, Rubio thanked Qatar for their mediation efforts, reaffirmed U.S. security support. The State Department said talks focused on ending the war, getting hostages back.
So intense fighting, serious accusations, but still diplomacy.
Exactly. It's this striking contrast. Intense escalation on one hand, intense diplomatic maneuvering, maybe quieter on the other.
Okay, so stepping back. What does this mean for you listening? Obviously, there's the huge humanitarian crisis.
Right, first and foremost.
But beyond that, this conflict is disrupting regional trade, right?
Yeah.
Pushing up energy prices. Oil's near $94 a barrel now.
Yeah, those are the immediate economic ripples.
But maybe more deeply, these accusations, genocide, how do they actually impact things like global alliances, foreign policy down the road?
That's the crucial question. If you're involved in global investment, trade, you have to ask, how will this ethical scrutiny affect aid, partnerships, even market stability tied to the region?
It's not just about the conflict itself anymore.
No, it's about the global fallout. The ripples are getting bigger.
Okay, let's pivot then. Let's talk finance.
Sure.
Because things are pretty dynamic there too. Global markets seem to be holding their breath.
They really are. All eyes are on the U.S. Federal Reserve expecting interest rate cuts. We saw equities wobble a bit yesterday, even after hitting record highs.
A sign of nerves.
Definitely. Investors are positioning themselves, trying to figure out what's next. U.S. Treasury yields dipped, while safe havens like gold and oil climbed. Oil, as you said, near $94.
And the dollar.
The dollar softened about 0.3%. That gave a little boost to the euro and sterling. It's classic caution, really. A flight to safety amid all the geopolitical tension and these supply chain shocks we keep seeing.
And it's not just a U.S. story, right? We're seeing ripple effects elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Look at Brazil. Finance Minister Haddad is predicting rate cuts there soon. He's citing a better exchange rate outlook, some fiscal discipline.
Okay.
And then you have Thailand doing something quite different. Their central bank is thinking about taxing domestic gold trading
Why?
to try and curb the baht's appreciation. It hit a 4-year high, apparently driven by a surge in gold exports. So they're trying to manage that currency strength.
So different countries, different strategies to handle this global uncertainty.
Exactly. It's a real balancing act. But what's also interesting is the demand for sustainable investments. The World Bank just priced a big sustainable development bond, $1.75 billion.
And the demand was strong.
Very strong, nearly $3.5 billion in orders. It really shows that ESG, environmental, social governance investing, has serious momentum.
Okay, so for our listener, what's the takeaway? Gold, oil up, dollar down.
Well, it might be a signal, to look at your inflation hedges. Maybe international investments look a bit more attractive.
But also, maybe expect slightly higher costs. Gas, imported goods.
Potentially, yeah, if these trends stick. These aren't just abstract market moves. They hit your investment strategy, currency planning, cost of capital. Could even affect, the price of your morning coffee eventually.
All right, third deep dive. Let's go to Europe. A major cyber attack hitting Jaguar Land Rover, JLR.
Yeah, this one's pretty serious. It's crippled their production. They've had to extend the shutdown until at least September 24th.
Why? What got hit?
Their parts supply systems just paralyzed them completely. 3 big assembly plants are affected: Solihull, Halewood, and Nitra in Slovakia.
Ouch. That sounds expensive.
Hugely. JLR warned it could be losing up to 70 million pounds a day. And think about the knock-on effects for their whole supply chain. Suppliers waiting.
Right.
JLR's working with experts to fix it, and the UK government's involved too. Business Minister Kemi Badenoch is coordinating help, stressing the need for better cybersecurity.
It really exposes that just-in-time manufacturing model, doesn't it? The fragility.
Absolutely. It's a stark warning. This isn't just JLR's problem. If your business relies on those super integrated supply chains, a cyber attack on any partner, even a small one,
Could bring everything grinding to a halt. Overnight.
Precisely. It highlights how crucial cybersecurity resilience is, not just for the big names, but all the way down the chain. Every company needs to ask, how prepared are our supply chains? What happens if this kind of attack becomes more common?
So the practical impact for you, the listener, if you run a business, maybe time for a digital resilience checkup across the board.
Definitely. Not just your own systems, but your whole ecosystem.
And for consumers, well, it shows how fast a cyber issue can hit jobs. JLR has 33,000 workers, and eventually maybe the availability and price of cars or anything made this way?
Yeah, it's a reminder of the risks in our interconnected world. Sometimes those risks are digital.
Okay, let's shift gears now. We've got a series of shorter global briefs hitting other key developments from yesterday. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk trade corridors first. Europe and India seem pretty optimistic about getting a free trade agreement, an FTA, done by the end of the year.
Why the push now?
Well, both sides want to diversify their supply chains. Partly, it seems, because of those high U.S. tariffs on Indian goods. They're looking for alternatives, more resilience.
Makes sense. What are the sticking points?
The usual suspects in these deals: tariffs on things like cars, wine, agriculture, and also the EU's carbon border tax. That's always a tricky one. The next round of talks is set for October.
So for you listening, this is part of that bigger trend, right? Countries building bilateral deals to sidestep volatility. Could change manufacturing, pricing.
Exactly. Keep an eye on it. Now, moving to Asia, some monetary signals. Bank of Korea minutes sounded a bit dovish. Suggest they might be easing off on rate hikes.
Okay.
And Thailand, as we touched on, mulling that gold trade tax to manage their strong currency, the baht. So active management happening there.
Got it. What about governance and rights? Some worrying stories there, too.
Yeah, particularly South Sudan. UN investigators reported what they called systematic looting by the government. We're talking U.S. $1.7 billion meant for roads, diverted into private accounts.
$1.7 billion, while roads aren't built.
Right. 95% of the road work is undone. People are facing hunger. The justice minister disputed the findings, as you might expect.
What else?
In Chad, the parliament just removed presidential term limits, extended the terms too. Looks like a power grab by President Déby. Critics are worried about democracy there. And in Qatar, Human Rights Watch is pushing back against a 5-year sentence for a Baha'i leader, Remy Rouhani. They say he was just peacefully practicing his faith, calling it religious repression.
And U.S. sanctions?
Yes, Treasury hit individuals and companies helping Iran move money illicitly, selling oil using crypto to dodge sanctions and fund militant groups.
So a whole cluster of issues there.
Yeah.
Corruption, rights, stability.
Definitely. It impacts investor confidence, regional stability. These aren't just isolated incidents.
Okay, let's touch on migration. Some tragic stories there.
Really tragic. Off the coast of Libya, more than 50 Sudanese refugees died. Their boat caught fire. It's just another awful reminder of the dangers people face crossing the Mediterranean.
Horrific. And another incident off West Africa.
Yeah, off Senegal. Authorities intercepted a pirogue, a type of boat without a motor, carrying 112 migrants. It highlights that growing Atlantic route towards Europe.
And the underlying drivers.
Poverty, a huge factor. A joint World Bank-UNICEF report just found 52% of kids in sub-Saharan Africa live in extreme poverty. They're calling for more investment in education, health.
These are the deep, systemic issues pushing people to make these dangerous journeys.
Absolutely. Affects global stability, public welfare. It's a major humanitarian challenge.
All right, let's bring it back to the U.S. for a moment. Domestic news. What's happening?
Well, first, a potential crisis averted. A strike on the Long Island Railroad was stopped when President Trump appointed an emergency board to mediate.
That would have been a huge disruption, right?
Oh, yeah. 300,000 daily riders. So now there's a 120-day arbitration process instead.
Okay. And the Charlie Kirk case.
Prosecutors in Ohio are seeking the death penalty for Tyler Robinson, who confessed to murdering the conservative commentator. It really highlights the concern about rising political violence in the U.S. A Reuters Ipsos poll found 2/3 of Americans think harsh rhetoric encourages violence.
A sobering statistic.
Yeah.
What else stateside?
The EPA Environmental Protection Agency put out options for reallocating biofuel blending requirements. This is about who has to blend how much renewable fuel, especially after waivers given to smaller refineries.
Always controversial, that one.
Always. Farm groups want full reallocation. Oil refiners are pushing back hard. It could shift costs around in that, $28 billion renewable fuel standard market.
Got it. Okay, final quick takes to Latin America.
Yeah, a couple of things. On the tech front, Databricks, the U.S. analytics firm, made its first LATAM startup investment, took a stake in a Brazilian data company called Indicium. Signals growing interest in the region's AI and analytics scene for sure. Elsewhere in Brazil, former President Jair Bolsonaro was briefly hospitalized for abdominal issues linked to that 2018 stabbing. Doctors ruled out surgery.
Okay. And a health initiative.
Yes, the Pan American Health Organization, TAHO, is urging governments across the Americas to step up neonatal and maternal care. They noted nearly 9% of babies are born preterm, and medical errors are still a leading cause of infant death.
What are they recommending?
More patient and family involvement, better hygiene practices,
Yeah.
basic but critical stuff. So you see this mix in LATAM exciting tech growth, but also these fundamental public health challenges.
A really broad range of developments globally.
Absolutely.
And as you're trying to make sense of all this, just remember, Nextsite goes beyond just reporting. Their OSINT teams are connecting the dots, validating sources, turning all these signals into actual strategy.
They provide that deeper context.
Okay. That wraps up our deep dive for today, looking back at Tuesday, September 16th. We covered the intense situation in Gaza, the nervous markets, that JLR cyber attack.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
It really paints a picture of a world facing challenges on, well, multiple fronts simultaneously.
It does. And the key thing, I think, is how interconnected it all is. A local issue somewhere can rapidly ripple outwards, affecting commodity prices, trade deals, even how investors think about ethics.
It's a truly dynamic system, as you say.
Yeah.
So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. We talked about humanitarian crises, diplomatic efforts, all these pressures.
Yeah.
How is that increasing scrutiny on human rights and crises going to shape global investment flows and even national security strategies in the months ahead?
A really important question to consider.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Please follow us on YouTube and Spotify. Like, comment, share, let us know what you think.
We appreciate the engagement.
Stay informed, stay sharp, and hopefully your midweek is running a bit smoother than a central bank rate cut decision.